是东京的秋叶原，看板人物今天来到日本，为您深入报道这几年全球掀起的高端家电风潮。如果有一项家电制品到现在全世界每5秒钟就可以卖出一台，不管多么绚丽的广告或是多么海量的推文，其实背后这个品牌一定有励志的篇章。
This is 8 times faster than that motor, and it's under half the weight, and of course very much smaller and quieter. And it has a turbine, a bit like a jet engine. Bundled to use engineering and technology to make things work better. Even though there's a lot of failure in it, it's a very happy life. I find it really exciting working with people who want to do the same thing. So I can't stop, it's like a disease, I can't stop doing it, and it gives me a huge amount of energy. So I really enjoy doing it. People don't want to be engineers. They want to be journalists or bankers or anything other than be an engineer, because they think that being an engineer means you're in a factory wearing a white coat and it'll be boring. So I want to change perceptions and encourage people to go into engineering.
Dyson 的创办人 James Dyson 当年他发明了这世界第一个没有带子的吸尘器，曾经历经了超过5000次的失败尝试，但最终他凭着自己对于工业设计的热血、信仰和坚持，走到今天这一步。他现在是全英国排名第7的富豪，总资产已经高达1650亿。可是，在这集节目里面，您将会分享到更多的是他艰苦卓绝、努力奋发的无形的财富。 这一切胜过世上任何的有形资产。
Hello, I'm James Dyson, and I'm very happy today to be on TVBS Insight People. There we are. But I'm going to explain to you how it works and why we came to invent it, and the problems I think that it solves.
嗨，观众朋友，看到这个大家非常熟悉的无扇叶风扇，就知道我们来到它的 催生灵魂的所在，非常重要的推手，也是我们今天的看板人物，本世纪很重要的工业设计大师，大家相当熟悉，在台湾也有很多崇拜者的 James Dyson. Hi, Sir Dyson.
How
are you?
Nice to meet
This is
you.
Georgina.
Very nice to meet you.
Finally, so good to have you here in Tokyo with us.
Well, it's a great pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Can't wait to hear you sharing your life stories with our audience in Taiwan, Asia, and even North America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Media around the world always respect you as king of design. That is so true, because you bring so many devices with new technologies into people's home, changing their lives in various unique ways. Just like the compact, lightweighted digital motor at your left-hand side.
Yes, this.
I heard it took you 16 years to invent. Wow, why did it take so long? And why did you start inventing a digital motor?
Well, we were frustrated with existing motors because they're slow, they wear out quickly, they let off black carbon, and they're inefficient. So we wanted to develop a new type of motor that was digital, that instead of using the mechanical brush on an armature to go from positive to negative, we wanted to do it with a chip. Of course, the advantage of a chip is it doesn't wear out, and you can go to an unlimited speed. So our motors go up to 8 times faster than conventional motors, which means we can make them much smaller and much lighter and more electrically efficient and have no emissions of carbon, nasty black carbon dust. So that was the aim, but of course it's very difficult to make motors stay together if you run them very fast, and to make them reliable and last a long time.
Sir, I know you and your design engineers can make the most out of this digital motor. So this time in Tokyo, Sir Dyson bring us something very anti-traditional beyond our wildest imagination. Let's see what it is.
新闻媒体忙着确认收听， 全球150家媒体卡位坐定，拉长脖子等待，因为今天 James Dyson 爵士又要颠覆这个地球上所有人的认知。
It's a Dyson hairdryer, and the key to the technology is a completely new type of motor.
会抢在东京发表，因为这个白色家电一级战区是 James Dyson 的福地，发明的第一台吸尘器 G-Force， 在工业革命的发源地伦敦发人问津，转任战场来到东京反而大受欢迎。
So it's taken over 4 years to develop the product because we start from scratch and we don't compromise on any of those. We don't say, okay, we'll have fast but noisy. No, we want it to be perfect.
「这台少了风筒的吹风机诞生的过程一点都不简单。全球产品开发总监41岁的 Tom Crover 进公司13年，但有1/3的时间都专注在替这个无风筒吹风机催生。Tom Crover 提到的草图在 Dyson 是不能公开的秘密，所有员工灵感的蛛丝马迹全都得画在黄色笔记本上。在封面还有个重要的关键字 confidential， 至今好友想看一眼，答案只有一个。
Absolutely not. No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. They wouldn't understand what was inside, but he's not going to have a look anyway.
每个随手写下的灵感都有可能改变10年、50年，甚至100年以后所有人类的生活。只要走进这扇门，就是走进无限可能的未来。这里是 Dyson 的研究发展部门。这一次 ，James Dyson 破例让 TVBS 踏进来，真正全球第一家，透过镜头见证，在 James Dyson 的高规格要求下，一项产品从研发到上市，得通过像少林寺18铜人的层层把关。就像这一间电磁相容测试实验室，就是跟看不见的敌人对抗。
You don't want that you're using your hair dryer and somebody else, your neighbor, can see the TV, right? So.
Dyson 的工程师有自信，在这里设计的任何产品领先其他科技大厂的技术，至少有10年以上。要求细微到连机器运作都得保持安静。
So what we have here is our anechoic chamber, and this anechoic means no echo. So we have big wedges on the walls to absorb all the sound. Which means we have a very quiet space where we can test our machines.
花了5000万英镑研发的吹风机，高标同样没有妥协。但从开始的起心动念，所有的内部消息一样被消音。有个听起来是在必得的代号 Lion。
When I first started at Dyson, I didn't realise we were working on a hairdryer until I got a questionnaire sent to my email asking me about my hair. And I started asking questions, so why are you asking me about how I dry my hair? And I quickly realised that we were working on a hairdryer.
神秘的狮子在英国 Monsbury， Dyson 总部的所在地，蓄势待发已久。这个小镇像《哈利波特》里的霍格华兹学园，在这里似乎所有的创意都能点石成金。尤其在 Monsbury 教堂的塔端，还有段非常疯狂的历史传说，比莱特兄弟早了800年的飞行记录。
One of mankind's first test pilots was an 11th century monk from Malmesbury, England. He was the first European known to have flown.
修道士 Elmer 的飞行梦，只飞行了200英尺，就因为摔断腿而结束。但同样在 Mousberry 做梦 ，James Dyson 却像做上自己的生日礼物，靠着同心协力，让英国的工艺技术飞越国界，抓紧了世界的眼球。
And yeah, it arrived here in Dyson only a few days ago. It's a present, yes, from the company.
这架直升机就摆放在 Dyson 总部的大门口，成为 James Dyson 珍藏的玩具之一。特别放在显眼的位置，就是要提醒旗下2000位工程师自由驰骋，更多天马行空的想象力，再把想象力转化成动力，让动力推着创意升空。
Well, working with a company like this, which is just fantastic, so many people all inspired by him every day to keep pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we understand.
James Dyson 不只愿意花时间、花金钱、花人力在工程研究上，他坚信工程设计能改变人类生活，所以一再捐款，用基金会当学生的梦想推进器。Dan Watson 靠着这个让小鱼逃生的 Safety Net， 成为2013年戴森奖的冠军得主，也因此得到了3万英镑的奖学金。还有一位台湾女孩于欣桦，在 James Dyson 毕业的母校皇家艺术学院拿到了硕士学位，甚至争取到 James Dyson 提供的8000英镑奖学金，在 James Dyson 捐赠的大楼开始她的阿狗梦想。
刚开始还蛮辛苦，因为没有薪水，然后英国生活又很贵，要找投资啊怎么的。可是因为幸好有学校的帮助，就是学校就是指导我们怎么建立公司，然后找合伙人，或是再继续找投资什么的。就是这里的 network 还蛮好的。
James Dyson 的成就不仅仅来自他对工程设计的执着要求，更竭尽所能，不断地设法拉后生晚辈一把。他的感染力鼓励无数的工程师，把每个 impossible 变成 I'm possible。
Sir, this time in Tokyo, you bring us this so anti-traditional, I would say very revolutionary design. The Dyson hair dryer. To be honest, it doesn't look like a hair dryer to me at first sight, not at all. What are the engineering challenge to make such a anti-traditional hair dryer? Would you like to explain to our audience?
Yes, I'd love to. No, well, this is the hair dryer. You can see it. Can you see it? Now, the most interesting thing about it is that we've redeveloped the motor. So this is a traditional hair dryer motor.
Wow.
You can see it's very big, it's heavy, it's actually very slow, and it's noisy. So we've redeveloped it, which took a long time, so that this is 8 times faster than that motor. And it's under half the weight, and of course very much smaller and quieter. And it has a turbine, a bit like a jet engine.
Sir, so is it to
turbine.
say it dry our hairs 8 times faster than the traditional hair dryer?
Not quite, but there is an importance to the speed, which I'll explain, which is that it's a pressure motor rather than a crude flow motor.
Okay.
And that's very important when you come to drying your hair, because if you put a nozzle onto a hair dryer, you restrict the airflow.
That's right.
And if you put it close to your hair, you restrict the airflow even more. And what that does with the traditional hairdryer is the temperature shoots right up because the air is restricted. And so you damage your hair very easily and sometimes even burn it. Whereas with ours, with a pressure motor, we can keep the airflow going. So even if we put it close, the temperature doesn't rise. In addition to that, we have a glass bead thermistor in here, which 30 times a second is monitoring the temperature of the outgoing air and adjusting it with our brain, our circuit board and chip in here. So the motor is the secret to it all. And because we've made it so small, we can put it in the handle here. There we are. This is getting a bit confusing, but you can see it there in the handle.
Let me hold for my audience. It's right here.
Yes. So you're actually holding the motor. It's tiny. And being in this tube, we can use this as a silencer tube. to make the motor very quiet. And then all we have to put in here is the heater and the electronics. And that's why we have a hole through the middle. You see, you can...
That's right. Well, this reminds me the bladeless fan. That's how you come up with the ideas?
Yes, well, we're using that technology as well. So this provides some of the airflow, and then we draw extra airflow in through the back. So we multiply the airflow of the little motor itself.
Well, the whole dryer is very lightweighted.
Well, exactly, exactly. Not only is it lightweighted, but it's well balanced. So normally you have this big heavy motor here. So you've got this top heavy weight.
That's right.
Whereas we've got well, this weighs very little anyway, but we've got that in there. So there's no weight up there. So you don't get this dumbbell effect. So it's easy to hold, and it's lighter. And you're spending 20 minutes like this, holding this thing up here. So it's very important that it's very light and not top heavy.
So focusing on this very small digital motor, what is the most challenging part to make it small but power dense?
Well, it is a big challenge. And the most difficult thing is that going at 110,000 RPM, it has to be perfectly balanced. And that, in fact, that's why we machine it from aircraft-grade aluminium.
Oh.
It's entirely machined, and it's machined for accuracy, both for balance and the shape of the blades and the tolerance with the outside casing. So accuracy and balance are absolutely critical. And in fact, if you get it just slightly out of balance, you have a lateral force of about 30 tons at 110,000 RPM. And the speed of the motor is ultrasonic, so the noise is not audible to the human ear. I believe it is to a horse, so as long as you keep the hairdryer away from the horse, you're okay. But so that's one of the things that makes it quiet. So speed is very important for size, low weight, and also noise. But it's very difficult to develop and very difficult to manufacture. So the production line is entirely automated. It's totally robotic. There's no human anywhere in sight. And that's to get absolute precision and absolute consistency.
Another extraordinary performance from you and your 2,000 design engineers. I would say that. Sir, so would you say this is the most breakthrough design for you so far?
Oh, I hope that we try to break through every time we do a product. But this is our first product in personal care.
Yes.
Actually, people using it on themselves. So it's particularly exciting for that reason.
This is like a fashion product, I would say that.
I don't think it's a fashion product. No, it's technology applied to health and beauty.
Very chic. Sir, you are famous for the quote, life is to solve problems that others ignore. You always connect technologies with home electronic device. Would you like to tell us how could you always manage to break through restrictions, come up with new ideas, and see the future needs that no one has ever articulated before?
Well, in a way, it's very easy because the problems are there. You know, hair dryers are noisy and heavy and have problems with damaging hair. So we could see the problems. The difficulty is coming up with a solution. But I'm really lucky because I have really bright, intelligent engineers who are very young and who really want to solve the world's problems. And so they're really motivated to do that. And of course, I started, making a revolutionary vacuum cleaner and solving that technology. But now I have lots of other young people. I'm very old now, but I have lots of other young people who help me do this.
Some of our audience may not know that your research and develop center in Melbourne is restrictively controlled because there are so many design engineers dedicated themselves, focusing on introducing new technologies that won't be shown to the public's eyes now, but maybe in the future, let's say 20 years after. Sir, how could you envision the world's need 20 years from now?
Well, that's a good question. The thing is, we are very interested in developing new technology, which we believe, we don't know, but which we believe will solve future problems. So, for example, we started developing electric motors 15 years ago, we started developing vision technology, which we use in our robotic vacuum cleaner. So this has a 360-degree camera that is interpreting the picture it sees and knowing how far away it is from objects by pure visual understanding, which is actually exactly what humans do. So we think that's very important for the future, and we thought it was 15 years ago when we started developing it. And we now believe, for example, that battery technology and material science is going to be very important in the future, as well as software. So we're developing material sciences, software, and solid-state battery technology.
Sir, people always said profits are always lonely. At early stage in your career life, you have failed, let me check my number, 5,126 times in 5 years. But finally, in 1983, you gave birth to the world's first backless vacuum cleaner. It was a great hit, and it is, because according to my source, it is sold 1 in every 5 minutes now in the world. But as I just mentioned, at the early stage, it
wasn't the fact that it didn't have a bag, it was the fact that it didn't lose suction.
Yes.
That was the most important thing.
Yes, that's what you found at home when you used the traditional
bag. Exactly, it clogged. So I wanted a vacuum cleaner that didn't lose its suction, whereas all others did. It so happens I got rid of the bag in the process.
But as we just mentioned, to make it bagless, you've tried more than 5,000 prototypes. Sir, at early stage, how much did you spend on research and development without any support?
Well, that was difficult, though. I had to borrow from the bank using my house as security. And my poor wife had to sign over the ownership of the house. So yeah, it's a big risk. I owed £2 million at one point, which is $3 million personally.
So when you retrospect, what did you learn from that very hardship experience? And what would you feel appreciated for what happened in that stage?
Well, I quite enjoy failure, you see, because you learn from failure. So for example, with the hairdryer, we've already gone through 1,017 miles of virgin hair in our laboratories to understand the science of hair. And of course, developing the hairdryer, we've had lots and lots of failures. And the important thing is to not get depressed or upset when you make a failure, but to understand that a failure is a way to understand and make a success. We have a Harrier jump jet, which is the first plane to take off vertically and then go like that. It also comes along and stops like that. The Mini was really the first super small car.
But cut into half.
But cut in half.
I'm curious, if you could just take the time machine going back to 50 years ago and see your younger self at age of 19.
Can you take me back there? I'd love to do that.
I wish I could. So would you tell that young man the promising future and try to help him skip out all the failures, countless failures on the way? Why?
Well, the thing is that everybody thinks that you get instant success. You never do, of course. Well, unless you win the lottery. But the important thing is to go on trying, because of course you fail the first time and the second time and even the 5,000th time you fail, because it's difficult. If it was easy, someone would have done it before. So the important thing is to go on trying. And in my foundation, we try to encourage young engineers, people at school, to be interested in engineering, and then people at university and in life, in their careers, to understand that it's wonderful to create things. It's wonderful to use engineering and technology to make things work better. And it's a very, very happy life even though there's a lot of failure in it, it's a very happy life.
很多人会问，这个英国品牌的吸尘器到底在红什么？一台动辄数万元的机器，真有这么好用吗？为了了解市场近来吹起的高端家电风潮，我们来到距离伦敦2小时车程的 Dyson 总部。做家电的门口就放了一架可以垂直升降的英军轰炸机，还有这个破了一半可以看清楚内部构造的 Mini Cooper， 这些都是英国工艺的经典，工程师神往的设计杰作。
This is one of the first prototypes that was ever made for the dual cyclone vacuum cleaner, initially prototyping with cardboard, which is what you can see here.
受不了传统吸尘器经常塞住吸不动 ，Dyson 创办人 James Dyson 花了5年，失败了5126次，倾家荡产才研发出史上第一台不使用集尘袋的吸尘器。那是1984年，他找遍欧美家电大厂推销，却没有人要买他的专利，因为当时的集尘袋市场1年高达5亿美元，谁会想把最赚钱的设计给改掉呢？但他不死心，最后是日本人给他机会。1986年，粉红色的 G-Force 上市，一台要价6万台币，成为日本泡沫经济上流社会的象征。这也让 Dyson 慢慢存到钱，成立公司。1993年反攻家乡市场，10年后才站稳英国第一大品牌。
Three words that describe James, I guess, are relentless and frustrated and never satisfied. So as soon as we've done a new product, we're on to the next one and trying to make that product better. So we're very critical of what we've done.
究竟有多吹毛求疵？测试研发机器全部要重摔撞击个上万次，来模拟消费者所有可能的使用情况。他们相信设计不该只顾外表，还要包含产品性能。所以 Dyson 不区分工程和设计部门，旗下2000名工程师职衔通通叫做设计工程师。品牌年获利180亿台币，1/3全部投入研发。
They're not worried about you failing. So if you have a good idea and it doesn't work out, you just learn from that and move on. It's quite a good environment to like thrive and try and like become the best engineer you can be. I'm 23.
24.
24.
24.
追求创新，团队就必须年轻。员工平均年龄只有26岁。公司内部年年举办的 Dyson 挑战赛，更考验菜鸟工程师如何用既有的产品零件，打造出独一无二的原创发明。
We do a lot of work on paper. It's not so much computer based. We get sketches and ideas out and concept generation. So the books are really important, and they're quite like a symbol of RDD.
每位新进工程师都会领到这一本被列为品牌最高机密的素描簿，要大家把发想过程记录下来，未来回顾也许就是明星商品的催生轨迹。
I'm going to introduce you today to a robot vacuum cleaner that navigates in a totally different way with a 360-degree camera.
吸尘器龙头为何到现在才推扫地机器人？其实1998年 Dyson 就投入机器人研发，2001年曾经发表 DC06 旗下第一款机器人吸尘器，却因为机身太重、造价太高，始终没有上市。然而，等待是为了更新的技术。现在有了1秒可以拍30张画面的视觉感应器，还有比 F1 赛车快5倍的数位马达。这个用手机就能操控的机器人 ，Dyson 磨了16年才决定出手。
Japan was where my products were first launched, so it's very emotional for me to be able to launch our first robot here.
而为了培养研发领域最缺乏、懂工程又会设计的人才，他直接捐了1.2亿英镑，在帝国理工成立全新的设计工程学系，第一批新生今年秋季开始上课。
I look at things and wonder if they could be made better and start thinking about how they are made. I mean, that's what interests me.
从做家电到办教育，这位英国媒体口中的设计之王，不知还要带给市场什么新的惊奇。
Sir, I heard each freshman that is hired and comes into Dyson would be given a very special mission. That is to disassemble a vacuum cleaner and put it back all together. What is the purpose of this exercise?
Well, everybody does that, not just engineers. Anyone, even a director who comes, a non-executive director, has to do it. And it's really important to do, to understand that we make a product that you use at home. And that's all that's important, is the product, not the company, but the product, because that's what you buy at home. So we want everybody to understand that's what we're about. We're about making a product that you use at home. You have to assemble it and take it home and use it. And so you've made and understood the product that the company makes, and you're using it at home. And you made the one that you're using at home.
Sir, I feel design engineering is in your blood and gene. Now you have 7,000 employees in the world, and 2,000 of them are design engineers. The average age of them is 26. That's quite young. But you altogether make yearly profit up to 18 new Taiwan dollars. That's amazing performance. Sir, why would you like to hire inexperienced young people? What kind of special creativity you always see in them?
Well, of course, they've all been to university, and some of them have done doctorates. But what I love is their enthusiasm and their inventiveness. I don't particularly want people with experience.
Oh, really?
Because experience can be a bad thing.
You mean think in the box?
Well, if they're experienced, they think they know everything. I would rather people didn't know things, but were curious and wanted to do something different. So that's what I'm looking for, and I find that in graduates and people who just postgraduates have that extraordinary enthusiasm and wanting to change the world and wanting to do things in a different way, and that's what I'm looking for.
So it's the personality and the enthusiasm that you emphasize on your employees.
Yes, and lack of fear, and not using their past experience, but wanting to create something and discover something and start a different path.
Sir, I read your autobiography, Against All Odds. In the book, I make so many notes. Too many new things for me.
Thank you for reading it.
No, it's a good book, very inspiring. In the book, you wrote about your father's death while you were just 9 years old. And ever since then, you became independent and mentally forced yourself to grow up fast. It really gives me a feeling of being on your own experience. How do these experiences help you in career? And how could you always live up to your hopes, even in time of adversity?
Yeah. Yes, I think it was, my father was ill for 3 or 4 years before he died of cancer.
Wow.
So I didn't really see him for since I was about 6, I suppose. And then when he died, I was sent away to boarding school. So I felt very alone and independent. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's how I felt. So it's never worried me to be different and to do different things and to take a different course to other people and to even be slightly obtuse. So maybe it helped me with that. But it, you know, it's not an enjoyable experience to lose a father, but maybe it's helped me a bit. And it is a fact, actually, that a lot of successful people have lost a parent when they were young. 80% of British prime ministers lost their father before the age of 10. So maybe that says something.
One sentence I like most, I mark it. James Dyson, Sir Dyson, tell us, you can always dream something bigger than you. In the book. Well, sir, you started your career from working in your garage, in your backyard. That's very legendary. I wonder, throughout all your career life, what is the most frustrating experience you ever had? And what did you learn from the experience?
Well, of course, there have been lots of frustrating experiences, but one that's probably most interesting is that when I developed the technology for the vacuum cleaner in 1983, I had no money at all. I was hugely in debt. And I thought the solution was to go and license electronics manufacturers. So I went round them, and they were very interested. They wanted to have a look at it, but no one would license it. And I suppose you might think, well, that means it's not very commercial. But actually, each time I went to one and they said no, well, eventually they said no, I got more and more encouraged. Because it
Being rejected?
Yes, because they were rejecting me without a reason. So what I realized was that they didn't want new technology. So there was my opportunity. If I made it myself, instead of trying to license them, if I made it myself, I would have an advantage because they're not interested in new technology. They're not interested in designing better technology and taking risks and bringing out a new product that benefits the customer. They're just interested in having an easy life and not making any changes. And of course, selling paper bags. They loved selling paper bags. So the rejection and the failure actually encouraged me.
Oh, sir, your life is full of machines. I know in the headquarters you have jet fighters, sea trunk that you made while you were studying in London, and even cut in half Mini Cooper. That's crazy. That's one of your birthday gifts last year, I knew. How would you describe your obsession with machines to us?
Well, it's very easy to understand, really. I'm just fascinated by how things work, and I'm really fascinated by new technology and new designs and engineering that create a revolution and make a difference. So we have a Harrier jump jet, which is the first plane to take off vertically and then go like that. It also comes along and stops like that. And it's a very clever British invention. The Mini was really the first super small car with a transverse engine, so that was a really important invention.
But cut into half.
But cut in half, cut in half. That wasn't my idea, but I'm very pleased they did it because it was a surprise present.
Okay.
So that was it. And we also have the world's first jet engine, which was designed by an Englishman called Whittle. And we have one of the very first that he ever made, and it's certainly the oldest running jet engine. And it always starts first time. And we take it out and start it in the car park at work sometimes. So that's of course changed the world because it was an engine that only had one moving part. And previously all aircraft engine had hundreds of thousands of moving parts. So totally brilliant inventions. So I want these inventions around me because I find them inspirational, and also everybody at Dyson finds them inspirational.
That must be very exciting to see all these models in your headquarters in person. Sir, now we have James Dyson Award. It's an international competition, and Taiwan has just entered last year. Have you yourself feel very impressed by some of the designs, and what are your evaluation standards and comments?
Well, what we're looking for, it's unusual in the design competition because we're looking for someone who's solved a problem. Often design competitions are just about how something looks, but we're interested in someone solving a problem they're seeing around you. It could be a health problem, it could be a safety problem, whatever it is. So we're encouraging students to do that. So that's the big difference with ours.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes people go on and manufacture these things that they've discovered. And it's just fascinating to see the creativity and imagination that young people have.
Again, that echoes what we just said. Can we dream something bigger than we are? Because while you start your business, your design, backless design, people always told you, hey, if Hoover ever think of it, why Hoover didn't do it? Why it would be you, right? Mm-hmm. So students, they think they could solve the existing problems. Really, they need to take their passion and believe.
Yes, and they do. They're incredibly passionate. And you know, that's why I enjoy employing young people so much, because they want to change the world. They think they can. They have that confidence and lack of fear. And so it's great through the foundation and this competition to be able to encourage that all over the world.
Yes. Sir, Dyson has anti-traditional design logic. Your design engineers are so good at putting mature, popular home electronic appliance under transformation, from backless vacuum cleaner, beltless fan, to this revolutionary hair dryers. Why would you like to challenge those home electronic appliances that people are so used to using?
Well, because they have problems, you know, so we see the problems and we want to solve them. And you know, we at Dyson are just driven to solving those various problems and continuing to reinvent ourselves even within that product. So that we won't stop here. We'll go on and improve on this, just as we have with our vacuum cleaner. So our handheld vacuum cleaners are getting more and more powerful. They last longer. They now have HEPA filtration, and they have the fluffy head that is really good at picking out things off hard floors. So we'll go on and on reinventing ourselves, as well as bringing out new technology. Well, to never give up and to understand you're in the world's greatest profession, the most satisfying profession. It will pay very well in the future because engineers will be the most valuable people in society.
Sir, it's so very happy to see you in person today. You look so full of energy. Now you're at the age of 69, but still you bring...
No, that's another 4 days' time. 68.
Oh, really?
I'm very young today. I'm still 68.
Want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Sir, but you always bring to the world a new devices every year. It seems to me you push yourself to move forward from time to time. Would you like to share us your secret of keeping a creative mind?
Well, work with young people, that helps. I get a shock when I go up and look in the mirror. But no, I think the point is, as an engineer for the last 40 years, I go into work every day and try to solve problems, try to solve technology problems, and try to solve product problems. And I find it so exciting. And I find it really exciting working with people who want to do the same thing. So I can't stop, it's like a disease, I can't stop doing it. And it gives me a huge amount of energy. So I really enjoy doing it. I think that's the secret in life, is to do something you really enjoy, even though it might be unfashionable and even though it might not make money. That's the most important thing to do, because then you'll be fulfilled, however successful you are, or however unsuccessful you are.
So would you mind me asking a question? What makes you more satisfying to see the invention finally come out, or to see a perfect, beautiful revenue hands to you at the end of the year? What makes you more satisfying?
The product.
The product.
You must think about the product, and that's why I ask all our new employees to build a product. Because if we build good products that have good technology, that perform better than other people's products, then we'll be successful. And if we're successful, we make money. But that's the final score at the end. The game is making better technology and making wonderful products that people want to buy. That's all that's important. The rest follows.
That's the key and the philosophy of Sir Dyson's success, absolutely. Sir, you always encourage young talents. I know you donate a huge amount of money, more than £10 million to establish the School of Design Engineering at Imperial College London. Also, I know you provide all kinds of scholarships every year, again, to encourage young talents in the design engineering sector. I would like to know, what are the ultimate goals and intentions for your generous offering?
Well, the thing is that nowadays people don't want to be engineers. They want to be journalists or bankers or anything other than be an engineer, because they think that being an engineer means you're in a factory wearing a white coat and it'll be boring. So I want to change perceptions and encourage people to go into engineering. And that's really important now because technology is moving so fast, and software, or tech as they call it, is that's just tech on its own, as you get in Google. But tech in technology, in products, is much more interesting because software enables products to do something they could never do before. So I just want to encourage young people and show what an exciting career you can have making new products and products that do things that have never been done before. So that's the aim of my foundation.
Do you see this is the, especially in UK, that young people bear the mind that technology is not as cool as other industries, or it's an international phenomenon?
It's an international phenomenon. I think it's true in almost every country, and particularly amongst young people. And the problem is that on social media and on television and in film, it's very difficult to portray engineering and design as being exciting and interesting. So naturally, people want to be like a film star or like a television interviewer or like a journalist or like a banker who makes lots of money.
Something that seems not very fundamental.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because you do a very good job and perform a wonderful function. But it is important also that we have people who will go into industry and create wealth. This is all about wealth creation for the country, and to raise the standards of living. And if a country stops making things that it can export to the world, the country will become poor. So it's a really important part of society that we improve products and develop new technology.
Sir, maybe that explains why. Maybe you also answered my next question. I'm reading your book and all the reference about you. I wonder why Sir Dyson would rather entitle himself as chief engineer rather than CEO in Dyson.
Well, because the problem is that being a businessman is a bit of a dirty word in England, and I think in some countries it is. And anyway, I'm not a businessman, I'm a designer and an engineer. And there's no reason why a designer and an engineer can't run a business. But if I call myself a CEO, I get targeted with a rather boring person running a manufacturing business. Whereas actually, I'm someone who's creating products. So I want the world to see that a creative person can run a commercial organization, can run a manufacturing company, but not be called a CEO.
Sir, now, last but not least, I would like to take this opportunity to ask your advice for those who have passion in the design engineering, especially for those who feel themselves lonely walking on the design road. What would be your advice for them?
Well, to never give up and to understand you're in the world's greatest profession, the most satisfying profession. And actually, although it might not have paid very well in the past, it will be paid very well in the future because engineers will be the most valuable people in society.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your precious time, this time in Tokyo, and your fruitful life stories with our audience. I wish all the best, all the lucks with you and the Dyson team.
Well,
make many, many more dreams come true for us, for the world.
Well, thank you very much, Georgina.
Sir,
I very much enjoyed talking
to
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.